And even my buddy was like, dude, you have 1,000 things going on. Why are you here? I'm like, listen, dude, I'm working harder today and yesterday than I have in a long time. I'm sweating my ass off. I'm exhausted. I have so many things to do. But if I didn't come and like put in offline work that was like honest bricklaying, get my hands dirty offline work, then I'm like losing my edge.
The Move Entrepreneur Evolved podcast. Get on it.
All right, we're back with another episode of Moved Entrepreneur Evolved, and I'm stoked. I've got my man here, Josh Delaney. Now, I got a couple things here. You've got the Whey Goods, FAB CBD, and plant goods out of Milwaukee. But brother, you got yourself a conglomerate, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, yeah, I'm stoked to have you on. We were kind of talking in the back for a second, like you started collecting skate decks. Where'd that come from?
I grew up skating. I was a skater kid from like probably, I think 11. I picked it up till not too long ago. But yeah, I just grew up skateboarding, grew up snowboarding. I was a board sport kid.
Yeah, I was too, man. I was a board sport kid. That transition when like snowboarding came out, I'm obviously living here in California, and we had Mountain High. And I'll never forget having to go Mountain High. It was like $7 on a Wednesday night. That's
funny. Yeah, you guys get lucky. When I lived out there, I went to Big Bear a couple times, but Big Bear and like Park City have been like the biggest places I've been. I have to like up my snowboarding like expertise and go to more places, but I haven't ventured to enough snow places where I can spread my wings there.
Yeah, for skaters, snowboarding is like you take off like 80% of your chances of death.
yeah, totally. I was much better at snowboarding than I was skateboarding. I mean, I was pretty good at skating, and was pretty good at snowboarding, but I was much better and more fluid at snowboarding than I was skateboarding. As weird as it was, I never understood why, but I could flow a lot better on a snowboard than I could a skateboard.
See, that's sick. So I'm going to pull you back a little bit, and I'm going to take you back to around October of 2019. And you have a post here that says, "Today's the day. FAB Nutrition Superfoods is live. 80 plus powerful ingredients and superfoods, all packed into one bottle for you to take once a day. This product speaks for itself. We're going to do so much with this product." What was going on, man?
About the product in general?
Just what was going on with you in that time period? It sounded like a time period for you that was a major shift.
2019. Well, 2019 was, I was kind of in the middle of, I launched FAB. I come from the supplement space, and so I got into CBD fairly early. We were one of the early guys. In 2017, I started that. And prior to that, I made proteins and superfoods basically my entire career in the supplement space, which is over a decade. So before protein was even, outside of bodybuilding, protein was just not as common of a product back when I started. And neither was like wheatgrass. So wheatgrass wasn't popular yet. So I was big into the wheatgrass when that was just like unheard of. And it was really just
where did you find that? Where'd you find wheatgrass? Was it traveling?
I was living in LA at the time, so it was a lot more popular there. But just in the supplement community, greens and superfoods were becoming a thing. So like Amazing Grass and just a lot of like affiliate companies were starting to get into greens, and I picked it up early to blend the fruits and veggies into one product. And so proteins, fruits and veggies, blends, and then like thermogenics were like my specialty in formulating and making those supplements. And so I'd done that for a while. Back in 2017, CBD came around, and I put my protein and superfood business on the back burner, which is today called Plant Goods and Whey Goods. But I was launching that in 2017, and I paused it to get into CBD. And that obviously went really well. And in 2019, in talking about that particular product, that for me was like my like passion project, my claim to fame. That was like the superfood product was like my life's work basically in supplement.
That's a cool way to lay it out.
And I had made that product like this is like the newest version of that superfood.
Got it.
But this is like my life's work in the supplement space is this product. And I had this sitting in the background of my business, and I was in CBD, and it was honestly, so that time frame and that post was, I was so excited about having this for myself, and nobody really made. There was a couple guys that made products like it, but I obviously didn't want to like keep drinking their products. So I was frustrated that I had this product formulated 10 years in the making. It's the best of the best. I can play with all of the big dogs with this formula. And I was doing CBD. So I wasn't drinking it myself because I physically didn't have it. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. Even though we're in CBD, I'm going to make this product because people should be taking it anyway. And I just slapped a FAB nutrition logo on it, even though it was really made for this company, just so I could have it myself and I could have it in production. So I took the product from my other supplement business and I put it into the CBD business just so I could have it. And, you know, obviously try to sell it while we were going. But in reality, it was for this company that I put on the back burner. So 2019 was really like in the crazy spike of CBD. And I was just throwing something from my past life into that business because I wanted it. And I knew other people would like it. But the irony of that is all of my CBD customers, for the most part, didn't understand what it was, because they're on a CBD website and they're in a nutrition product, and it just didn't make much sense. And so I sold a bunch of them, but not nearly as much as I would have wanted just from a business standpoint. So it was kind of a selfish, like I just wanted it myself every day. And rather than buying a competitor's product, I spent 6 figures to make my own and drop it into my current company, which made no sense whatsoever.
Well, I think something that you brought up is like interesting, and this is an entrepreneur's podcast. And I think that, you know, how people think are sometimes in the positions they're in. And what you just shared was your ability. You structured something where you had the ability to kind of put it into your assembly line. But obviously it didn't start out like that, right?
No.
So going back in your start of that career, you know, you talked about going away. What was your business transition? What was your thing that got you into business? What was your thing? Did you come out of college?
People may laugh at my answer, but I give a lot of credit to it. I dropped out of college and got into network marketing. And that was really all that was like available back in 2003. I mean, other than starting a normal business, right? A traditional business, the internet was just hardly out. I think we were like barely dial up at the time. I just had a cell phone, you know, maybe for like 6 months I had a cell phone. So that was about, you know, I had a pager at this time. So I'm trying to think, like Facebook wasn't out yet. MySpace had just hit.
No, I was in ecom. I was selling Oakley and a bunch of stuff in ecom right around 2004. And it was, I had a Yahoo store, but man, I'm telling you, it was like, I could put that up. If you type the internet and like one word, like you were there. Totally.
So yeah, you were catching it even way earlier than I did.
Yeah,
this
is old.
It was very, and I'm sure when you talk to people that you were friends with, in doing what you were doing there, I'm sure you were the crazy one of like, what are you doing on the internet? Like, I didn't even know the internet worked like that. I don't even understand what you're talking about.
I left working for Harley Davidson and I ended up getting a warehouse. And I remember they're like, what are you doing? The thing, you know, it's like 7,000 to 10,000 square feet. And I had this internal thing and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, we just shipped 300 orders. What are you talking about? Are you stealing stuff? So that's what I was interested on you. What was that transition for you? Like, so you started in MLM, which I think
I got
what you're telling me is that's where you got your sales skills.
Yeah, I got recruited into I was in school for like 2 months. I was 18. I got recruited into a network marketing deal, like local, with some guys I just met like out and about. And they actually had a very, very abnormal network marketing deal going on. So like, it was I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what I didn't know what MLM was until like a year later. Like I didn't know what network marketing was. I didn't know MLM. Today, 20 years later, I call that first deal syndrome. where I meet a guy now and I could tell when they're in their first MLM, it's like, oh, you're in your first MLM, aren't you? You got first deal syndrome. Like you have no idea what you're doing or how it works or the industry as a whole. Yeah. You're just all fired up. And so there's actually some, I sometimes wish I still had like that naivete going into businesses, because I feel like we're so convoluted that I get, I wish I was like first idea over again, but yeah, I got recruited into a deal where these guys were all 18, 19, 20, and they actually had a local office with like a glass conference room, and they all were driving nice cars and they all wore suits every day, but they were young. So they really like took this very seriously at a very young age back in 2003. And they were very hardcore. It was not like, oh, like, hey, call your friends and family. It was very much like we were having people come into our conference room, and like it was new to me. So I learned
were you guys watching The Boiler Room and
every day. That was no joke. That was my initiation movie.
You're gonna hate your parents are gonna hate you.
That is so cliche, but that was honestly that, like they all brought me back to like their apartment when they knew that I was gonna be like a player. And like I watched Boiler Room for the first time, and got the whole. It was literally the typical nice cars, hot girls, nice office, boiler room. Everyone's making money.
Why don't you have a couch?
From what's that?
And in the movie, he's like, "But why don't you have a couch?"
No, that was literally how it was. That was exactly how it was with these guys. You got a bunch of like 19-year-olds making a couple grand a week. You know what I mean? It was wild. So that's how I got started. Fast forward. I went from network marketing to affiliate marketing because I got tired of recruiting. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm actually really good at customer acquisition. Recruiting these people is a lie. And I got kind of tired of it. So I went into affiliate marketing to go after customers. And then in that, I went into supplements on the affiliate side. Then I got to meet all of these companies, from the MLM guys all the way to the affiliate companies. I was going to the warehouses. I was going to the manufacturing facilities because I was driving so much traffic, and I was doing really, really well there really early on. So I got to see the whole operation. And then, maybe 8 years into it, I've been doing like 20 years. So maybe like 7, 8, 9 years in, I was kind of like, listen, I know how to sell personally. I know how to drive traffic online now. I know how to be an affiliate. I know what the companies offer deal wise. I know where they manufacture it. I know how to do the warehousing. I know how to do the logistics. Why don't I just make my own stuff and sell my own stuff? That's when I went to LA. That's when I got involved in the bodybuilding fitness community, and I met all the supplement guys. I met everybody making supplements, and that was where it was protein, superfoods, and like fat burners and stuff like that. And I did infomercials and TV and radio, and I did all the the acquisition models that were popular at that point before everyone was heavy on Facebook ads and whatnot. And then, that led me to this, to where.
Yeah, actually, that was interesting, because I was going to bring that up, because I kind of doing the timeline. You remember AdWords, right? So I was curious, because some people's trajectory in that, because you started earlier, was kind of that hump of like, I know the old school and I'm kind of learning the new school. Like I always tell people, there was that time between 99 and like 2004 where it was like, we have no idea what's going on, but there's something going on here. Maybe that's the metaverse now. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I would say so.
I feel that way, right? It's a little odd. It's kind of like in a closet. You're like, what's going on in there? So what was the?
It sounds like you're of the generation that, same with me, that it's like, I still have that little bit of old school that I enjoy. Like I enjoy like call centers, phone sales. Like I could build an entire business on Facebook ads and Google ads, but I still have this kind of part of me that can't sit at the desk, because I still have like that old school recruiter sales mentality that I'm good on the internet.
I talk about this all the time.
I can't quite kick I'm not excited about the metaverse. I'm not excited. I'm too I'm too old school in my thinking yet, where I just am not biting on it, which I could be totally wrong, but I'm just not, my personality is not biting, because I think my old school side of me that is like just used to door knocking and, is like, I don't know. I'm not gravitating towards that business model yet.
I think it's because I've been doing the internet now for 18 years. I mean, I've basically lived off the internet. And I get these feelings more often lately where I a desire to go lay brick, just
totally.
kind of lay brick or whatever. But the other side is there was a sense of maybe the art of the kill, where you would go out and there really wasn't much, and you only met one person, and you had to build the relationship, get over the trust factors, and then you'd have to get in bed with them within 28 seconds. And there was a rush to it, right?
Yep.
So when you did that in that transition, I guess where I was going, there was a big leap that you kind of talked about. You just said, like, you went to infomotioners, you went from that. Where was that? Did you go into partnerships? Did you do it all yourself, or?
Yeah, I've never had a partner outside of, I gave my parents a couple of points on, I went into franchising at one point, and I owned a handful of franchises. And I gave my mom a couple of points to do my bookkeeping. But outside of that, I've never had partners or investors or anything in anything major. I've borrowed money from some friends, you know what I mean? Maybe like 10 or 20 grand over the years that I've all paid back and whatnot. But I've never had official partners or official investors of any sort. It's always been lock myself in a basement, spend everything that I made on my last deal, go completely broke again, even though I was fine and shouldn't have. Because I just came off of a high of doing another deal or another website I did or another product I launched or something. And I just kept doubling down, locking myself in a basement. And to be totally honest, I'm 36 going on 37. I'm still doing that today, which is honestly a whole nother story. But I have been doing that up until FAB, which was only 4 years ago. I have been doubling, locking myself in a room, doubling, locking myself in a room up until about 32, 33 years old. And I'm 36, 37 now.
Dude, this is crazy. We're like vibing, bro. Check this out. So no, this is crazy. So I wrote this question. This is crazy, dude. This is nuts. So I wrote this question for you, and I was looking back, and I was just kind of, chat your style, things like that. I could tell, like, we vibe it. I was like, what is one of the old school systems you do personally that has not changed no matter what business you run?
What do you mean by system? I can kind of think what you mean, but what do you mean by
I read it, but I would have articulated it differently if I would have brought it up. But you just said the answer. And what I was wondering is, because this is common, I think that, and I'm glad you brought this up, was the internet has become something that you can type into, you can listen to it, dictate things and all these things, but there's these old things that really move the needle forward. And what you just said, let's say, for example, like, you might grab a guy who has an internet company, but he has like he has this, and it's with him like everywhere. It's dirty. It's like an old pillow you never got rid of, right? Yeah. And I was literally going to ask you right now, that was what I was going to ask you, is like, what's the thing you think?
I have 10. I can give you an exact answer on that exact topic. Now I see what you're saying.
Dude, look, it's like because again, so you kind of answered it in a sense. And the reason I was bringing that up is because I think it helps people to understand that there's these like solid things that people that become successful, you become successful, that you still are rooted in, that are not technology or anything. So that's what the question was.
Yeah, I think, to be very, very like granular on as little and as dumb as it is of like writing, that's one thing that I wish that I just leveled up about a month ago, and it sounds stupid and everyone's going to roll their eyes, but you'll get it. So I've gone through too many notebooks and I lose them all. So I'd have these stacks of yellow pads. And so, and I've always had an iPad, but I never used it because I'm too old school. I like to write, and I write and I write and I write, and I have never been able to kick it literally till this day. I still write, but I finally figured out the formula of being able to be old school but new school in that particular topic, which is how I organize everything, which is not necessarily the best, but I organize everything in my business and life on paper still, on all written word. And but I had this iPad, and I'm like, man, dude, I gotta figure out how to use this iPad, or I gotta get rid of it. And so the secret that I finally got is an app called Good Notes 5. And I got it from another entrepreneur that does like 100 million plus a year. And he always does, webinars and presentations. And I said, hey, what is the writing app that you use? Because I got to figure out how to get this iPad to be my new notebook, because I can't carry around these notebooks anymore. I got 100 of them stacked up, and I can't ever remember.
And plus, getting it somehow into data,
exactly. And it's like, you know, you get people emailing you stuff and it's like, I want to put this in my notebook, but I don't want to carry the paper. You know what I mean? Like I want to take pictures and write on them. I want to go to a meeting and take a picture of something and write on it and put it in my notebook. So I've got my yellow pad and then I've got a picture in there. You know what I mean? I want an interactive notebook.
Have you ever used Evernote?
I have, but it's too convoluted. I want this on my iPad. I want this on my iPad. And GoodNotes 5, the app, is literally the iPad notebook that does everything. I can write in a notepad and send it to people. I can open up emails in it and like so I literally have now been able to do my old school writing, but in my iPad. And that's probably the dumbest and oldest, like old school thing that I still write everything. And I just have pages now in there, pages and pages of notes in there, but now I can save them, keep them, text them, send my wife, you know, I can do my wife's thing and send her it and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I would say that, and probably what you said earlier is I actually specifically schedule time to go lay bricks, as you call it. I call it swinging the hammer for no other reason than laying bricks is actually much better. But whenever I use that analogy about like being old school with people and like putting in the work, it's like, listen, dude, when's the last time you've actually swung the hammer? Like, when's the last time you actually did what you're talking about right now? When's the last time you've actually gone and knocked on a door, made a sales call, recruited somebody, saved a sale? Because all the internet is, all affiliate marketing is, or D2C, you know, e-commerce, all it is taking a real human and solving their real human problems as if you were face to face on the computer. That's it. It's the same thing. So if you can't sell someone in person, you're probably not going to be able to sell them on a website, because you're not going to be able to build a website or articulate a sales offer to sell that person, keep that person, upsell them, downsell them, cross-sell them, save them, email them, whatever. And so I very on purpose schedule time to go do random things physically as laying bricks to just keep me off of the computer, so that when I come back to the computer, I've got a little more. Like literally my time scheduled this week was 2 full days, completely unbusiness related, but it kept honest. But I scheduled 2 full days to go help a buddy literally like build his gym business. And my wife was like, and even my buddy was like, dude, you have 1,000 things going on. Why are you here? I'm like, listen, dude, I'm working harder today and yesterday than I have in a long time. I'm sweating my ass off. I'm exhausted. I have so many things to do. But if I didn't come and like put in offline work that was like honest bricklaying, get my hands dirty offline work, then I'm like losing my edge. And I have to schedule it. So like that was my this week schedule. Next week I'll go like, you know, I'll go sit down with people and do sales meetings or something. But like every couple of weeks I physically schedule offline work of some sort, even though my entire business is on the internet.
You know, it's really interesting you bring that up. I remember when I started and analytics came out. I think it was something before analytics or something. I think I actually had a different type of analytics. But I remember looking, actually when we started, it was Yahoo Store. I remember it would show like the ticker of somebody like coming on. And I remember having friends come over and like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. Someone just came into my office.
Those are people on my site. I used to have.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, they literally came into my office. And if someone comes into your office, how would you treat them? And they're like, what are you talking about? And then I was like, watch this. And then I started obviously.
What were you selling on a Yahoo Store? Glasses?
Actually, I was in the core industry. So basically, if you remember, this is probably a little, but so I worked for Harley Davidson and I was in my office one day.
No, Harley's located right down the street here.
Harley Davidson. Yeah, I mean, I work for Milwaukee, but I was in my office and I was sitting there and I opened up Surfer magazine. And so I opened this thing up and there's this brand called Affliction. Do you remember that era? And I was like, what the heck? It's in Surfer magazine. These styles and these designs are sick. Like, this is dope. I wonder if, and a friend of mine who I had worked with, he got a motorcycle and I cleared some stuff up with him. And he started a business selling chopper apparel and stuff like that online. And he's like, hey man, I was like, maybe I can go talk to that guy. And so when I was in my office, I saw that and I called Affliction and I was like, hey, can I get some stuff? And I started selling like 10 grand out of my back out of my garage of
Hilarious.
affliction. Dude, it was wild, man.
That is awesome.
And then I parlayed into sunglasses and,
Nice.
but I worked with a lot of those core industries, man. So the skater industry, I worked with Spy and Von Zipper and all of those. Yeah, man. So those were we sold Quicksilver. We sold all of them, man. It was cool. Freestyle watches. So all of those era that you're talking about, the skate era.
I had a very, very, very short stint until they kicked me off, rightfully so, on eBay selling like Lacoste polos and all sorts. I had a very short eBay stint that I learned a couple good skill sets and lessons on selling apparel and things like that. It's hard. That's a hard business.
Dude, and you know, I've never told this story on the podcast, but one of the things that happened was there was a rep that had came in and I saw him in a case, you know, obviously an Oakley case like this. I still have one.
Yeah.
So those cases that are there, and I was in the apparel business. And so we have all this apparel going out, and the guy goes in, I visited a friend, he walked into the case and he's changing out the product. So he takes the eyewear and he goes in and he's taking it out and he's putting it back in. I'm sitting there staring at him like, what the hell is he doing? So I walk up to him like, hey man, what are you doing? His name's Joe. He's a great guy. And he goes, hey man, he goes, these ones aren't selling. So we're replacing them with the ones that are. I'm going, bing. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. You're trying to tell me that I don't have to Ross all this apparel. You're trying to tell me I don't have to outlet all this, and you're just going to come in and exchange these?
Crazy.
Well, how does that work? And then that turned into probably 25 lines, all the way to Dolce & Gabbana, to high-end Oakley, all that stuff. So that was the transition. But yeah, man, those are the eras, right? People didn't know what to do online. They didn't know how to reciprocal linkings and all that. As you went into supplements, that became the transition. What was the problem that you were trying to solve with so many other people out there? How are you going to define yourself?
I mean, when I got into it, nothing, because it was so fresh. I mean, I was crushing protein sales for a while. I mean, for 5, 6, 7 years probably, because it was just the everyday person taking supplements. As crazy as it may sound today, that should just tell people. And I could even share a couple of points like, we have compressed time in commerce so much that I don't think people quite realize. And I'm not a political person at all, but from like an economic standpoint, that then plays into politics. And I think a lot of people talk politics that don't understand economics. And if you focus on economics and trends of economics, you'll understand politics, right? But so many people come into learning our world from the political standpoint that they don't learn, economics. It's like, if you learn economics, we can fix inner cities, we can fix, problems in all sorts of areas where all these people talk about it. But you come in from the political standpoint when you really should come in from the economic standpoint. So from an economic standpoint, on a consumer level, we have compressed time so much in different industries. For example, it sounds crazy when I say that just a decade ago or 15 years ago that I wasn't solving any problems. I had a new offering. Yeah. So there's kind of two ways, right? You can solve a problem when you have other competition, or you can bring a new offering to the table, and that you have a certain time frame to do that, right? Because then soon someone else is going to solve the problem to your new offering, and now you have competition. So when I was doing it, protein in an everyday household was a new offering, right? I was getting questions like, why do I need protein? I'm not a bodybuilder. It's like, well, your body's made up of a whole lot of protein cells, but like, you don't even know that because you only see it in Gold's Gym Venice on the TV, or in Baywatch with the, the characters there, or on the Gladiator show.
Or GNC.
It's like, you don't even, and GNC was hard. When did GNC really get popular for the everyday person, So I was offering things that were not really for the masses, right? I've always been in the businesses that were like my favorite demographic is like 37 to 50, like 2-year-old females. That's my favorite demographic. They're the buyers of the world. And if you can get into the married demographic within that, so that demographic of females married, then I'm going to get the husband off of that female. So I like focusing in that demographic, not creating female brands, but creating products and brands that speak more so to that demographic. But if I keep it male friendly enough, I'm going to get the husband. And so I like that niche. So that's where proteins, superfoods, and fat burners were my choice of supplements, because I could get the females and then get the husbands on the back door if I branded it properly, which is why I've gotten into the minimalistic branding. Minimalistic branding came from trying to accomplish that. So I come to the table, 15 years ago with a new offering of, hey, I've got a protein powder that's going to help you build muscle, lose weight, and help you sleep better, because we're gonna get through you. We're gonna help your circadian rhythm by having your hormones work better at night. People are like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it's like, listen, you just need a protein, and then you're not getting enough vitamins and minerals, and stop taking pills. So I have a powder for you that's all your fruits and veggies. And now we've got probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes. We got all this extra stuff in there, but back then it was just fruits and veggies. People, the masses understood that. And then a fat burner pill, right? Here's your coffee in a pill. Those were new offerings for the everyday person 15 years ago.
Yeah, that was like the transition of like, we can't take ephedra forever. We need another option.
Yes. So I was able to give a new offering when I got started in supplements, which made it an easy entry for me, because I was really, there was a lot of people doing it, but you don't need. I always tell people, it's like, dude, 1,000 people ordering $100 a month is $1 million business. 1,000 people is in this neighborhood I'm in. You know what I mean? Like you don't need that many people on the internet to make $1 million. And so I was doing really well, servicing something that may sound crazy, but going back to that time compression point is what it sounds crazy people today to think that just 10 to 15 years ago, the masses didn't know about protein or superfoods, but that's true. Like that is what it was. But because we have compressed time with e-commerce and economics, that I'll give you the example for today in CBD. CBD did in 4 years what took protein to do in 30. You know what I'm saying? Like CBD went from nothing to the peak to back to stabilization in 4 years. Protein.
You think that had to also have been of the evolution of this next transition of people just like that? How do I say it? It's like was that a second round of people buying shit online too?
What do you mean by that?
Well, like that 4 years of CBD, it was like there was that big, huge online. We've had this mass, obviously, e-commerce drive over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like, and that's only getting crazier. So the result of that's going to be is people are going to burn through ideas and offerings in 1/10 of the time that it used to. Another example.
Great spin.
Another example that people are going to roll their eyes at me, but I'm in the business, so I see the data. I was starting plant goods 5 years ago. Okay. And I was not a vegan or a plant-based I was not a plant-based protein user, and I was not a vegan. I was strictly getting into it for the business. And I thought I had a great spin. And 6 years ago, when I was getting that ready and manufacturing it, other advisors of mine in the plant protein industry, and I'm talking like Impossible Burgers and plant-based meats, like restaurants using plant-based meats. The conversations 5-6 years ago was, Josh, getting into plant-based protein like commodities is going to be huge. It's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry. Plant-based protein sources, not just plant-based protein powder, but I know supplements. So I was like, okay, plant protein's getting hot. I can make protein powder. Let me go launch a plant protein company that's completely plant-centered. People are going to think this is crazy because there's still a ton of plant protein out there, but I can tell you right now that the numbers and the data and the search volume doesn't lie. Plant protein means nothing anymore. 5 years later, we have gone from plant protein everything. Everyone's like, hey, you got to go plant, you got to go vegan, inflammation's bad, dairy's
organic,
yada, 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 yada. I'm glad you said that because that's another point. So then all of a sudden it's keto, and now plant protein is kind of going down. And then, got all this other stuff happening. And so in the last 5 years of the protein business right now, and I say nobody lightly, right? But like nobody cares about plant protein anymore. Like nobody cares. No, just like if you walk into a room and go, oh, keto, everyone's like, old news. Keto, dude, keto just got popular 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, no, it had its run for sure.
And people are already like, nah, I'm over keto. I'm over plant. I don't care. I'll take, you know what I mean? Like the compression of time in e-commerce economics or commerce economics is so small now. Like if you don't have something disruptive, which is my clear way, to be honest, we're probably going to cancel our plant protein because nobody wants it. And it's phenomenal plant protein at a very, very high level formula. But our clear whey protein is a world's first and is disruptive. If you don't have something disruptive in business going from today forward, you won't make it 6 months, because what's happening in 6 months now used to be 2 years. What happens in 2 years now used to be 10 years. And so you have a much smaller window to get an idea or an offering off the ground before nobody cares. And that's very challenging. You know, it's not easy. I haven't figured it out yet, but that's the piece that I'm kind of telling people is like, listen, if whatever idea you have, just run it through the disruptive, like the disruptive grinder. And I don't even know how to tell you how to get your grinder, but like, is it disruptive? How is it disruptive? Like, if you can't,
I think there's a conversation around that. And I think you did it. I think I did it at the time in my career. I think I'm building it with Moved right now. I know I am. I'm structuring it that way. This company Moved, I'm structuring it as an umbrella so that you could serve different entrepreneurial products and service. So Moved is the whole story is basically like an athlete is to, or like a Nike is to an athlete. There's an entire array of things that they serve. There's really not a company that's serving entrepreneurs like a brand like that. So that's what Moved is about. But I think that what you're saying is, and I'll go back to the scenario, when I started my first e-commerce business, I started it under Yahoo, and it was clunky, it was all those things. And then I realized that it was really the machine that I had. And then what I did is I built seven stores after that, and I could clone them and I could run them down a pipeline. And I think the conversation that you're talking about, and I think it's very powerful for people to understand, is that you need to structure yourself so that you can try new things and feel comfortable with quick failure. Is that?
And now pause, not to cut you off. Pause on that point, because this is where I think is going to be really hard for millennials and the next generation. Is what you just said of it's the machine that mattered, but by definition, make the machine humanize the machine. And what is that called? Skill set.
Yeah.
You created a skill set that, when those skill sets came together, was a machine that you could put things into. Investing in a skill set is your best thing. I would say it the same way. We have a machine now. I can do anything in like health, wellness.
Yeah, and it's awesome how you started it, because you dumped that protein down your machine. It worked out perfect, because I was like doing it.
So having that machine really in humanized words is having skill sets combined, right? Mm-hmm. And now you can be somewhat recession proof if whatever idea you put into the machine is disruptive and can be a new offering. And if it's not, you can kick it out of the machine. The problem for most people right now is they're not willing to build the machine, AKA go build new skill sets to have a machine. And I'm sure you talk to way more people than I do, but the few people that come to me with stuff is like, hey, I want to go do this. Can you help that? And I'm like, dude, we're going back to full circle. This is what I use when I say swing the hammer or lay the brick. Now I'm probably going to say lay the bricks. It makes more sense. People think I'm nuts when I say swing the hammer, but it's just what I've always had.
Like, don't kill anybody.
Because it was a carpenter in me. But it's like, listen,
so was my dad.
You don't want to go lay the bricks and swing the hammers. So you're never going to build the skill set, which is never going to build you a machine. So I don't care what your idea is, because you're not willing to invest in swinging the hammer because you're too good for it. You don't want to go door knock. You don't want to go make sales calls. You don't want to go train people. You don't want to go lock yourself in a basement and learn something for 6 months because you want it in 1 month, but you're not understanding that 6 months of skill set will be 6 years in output. And that's where, again, I'm always like, dude, you don't want to swing the hammer. I can't help you. Like, you don't want to lay the bricks, dude. Like, you're skipping the entire part of all of the people's careers that have done well. You want to disrespect and skip the bricklaying part. And but the thing that I wish people would learn, young people or anyone in general, is you can lay bricks. There's machines now. We're getting crazy in the analogy, but there's now machines that can help you lay bricks 10 times faster than me and you did in 2003.
So
it's
what
like,
you
go
just,
learn how to lay the bricks
exactly.
faster now.
So what you just said is my Move 30 program. I'm not trying to plug it, but the conversation is so good. Is what you're saying. What you're saying though is what I share with everybody, and that is like laying the bricks is the effort that you have to put in unless you have the money to buy the machine, you need to go lay the bricks. And it's like, that's tedious, it's crap, it sucks, it's all those things, but that's where you forge the skill. Totally. And then as you get to the next level and you say, you'll know this, you've done manufacturing, you go, hey, by the way, the bricks that I've been laying, the length that they go and where they're at and how the degrees that they're laid. Now I look at your machine and your machine's shit. It's not going to help me. So instead of you just going and buying the machine, you probably would have bought a shitty machine because you didn't know how to lay the brick.
Yep.
I don't know how we just did that, brother, but I think something happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like we get the analogy of what we're saying now because we went through this to now say like, listen, what's the it's like, again, people ask you, oh man, how do you do it? Or how do you do this? And it's like, dude, I've been laying bricks for so long and that's not a secret sauce. Like I'm not special because like I laid bricks, my hands hurt, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but you are envious of me because of what I have today, but you're not envious of the 15 years of bricklaying, which is cliche, but it's the truth. But that's where the message now, so that we don't turn into our parents, is listen, you shouldn't go lay bricks hand by hand like I did 15 years ago. You now have new AI and machine learning and Google and all of these things where your way of laying bricks is different, but it's still the same like idea of studying and learning a craft and learning a skill set. Because then you can then say forever, like, it doesn't matter if, you know, we just sold a company for a bunch of money and, you know, we've got other, you know, all of our businesses do very well right now. And it's like if it all went away tomorrow, I'm not that worried because we truly do have the skill sets to do it again. All we need is money, and the money problems get fixed with money. So it's like, but you can't fix skill set problems with money. Time fixes, you know, creates skill sets, not money. So it's like, you know, but that's my messaging for, you know, anyone talking to me now is like, listen, build the skill set. You just can do it a lot faster than we did. Like you should be able to learn what I did in 10 years in like a year right now, maybe even shorter. You should be able to learn what we did in 10 years, 2003.
It's all on YouTube.
It's 6 months. Yeah, exactly. So it's like anyone out there that's really serious, you could go from zero to hero in less than 6 months if you really, really studied.
Well, if you go back, I think this would be an interesting question. So it's like, there's like a place of momentum that all of a sudden you wake up. And I know you've had this, I've had this feeling. You just wake up one morning, you're like, whoa, something happened.
Yep.
So, and then the next day it happens again. And you go, what just happened? And then you kind of like, totally. In the seventh day you go, is this the new norm? What's going on? And then you're scared, right? You kind of like,
and that's getting to those levels is where then you want to restart your skill sets. Like, it's like, I just was telling some of my guys I work with this morning of like, you know, listen guys, every level requires new skill sets because then each level you get to in business has a new normal and you're not used to what that new normal is. What used to cost you $100 and skill set 1 then cost you $1,000 in skill set 2, then cost you 10, and everything is 10 grand. Then when you get to a certain level, everything's 100 grand, right? And a certain skill set. And then when you get past that, everything ends up being $1 million and requires a different skill set. And so it's keeping that momentum through those steps and always being fresh to learn is crazy. Like right now we're in the tens of millions and I'm lost some days. Like right now I'm like, dude, I have no clue what I'm doing. I don't know how to manage this money. I don't know how to talk to this CPA. I don't honestly know what to do about taxes. Where do I go? Like this morning, listening to podcasts. I don't know if you're spiritual or not, but I'm a Christian, faith-driven guy. I'm by no means perfect, but like this morning, I was listening to a podcast and I'm telling myself like, man, all of my church podcasts, all of my spiritual podcasts from pastors and stuff and leadership, right now, the trend is like saving people. And not everybody, right? But like the trend in faith right now is saving people, right? And again, I'm not trying to box up pastors. This is all good. Like this is all good things. People need saved right now. And then on the business, it's a lot of like startup and like how to get going and how to like, and it's rah. And this morning I found myself kind of like, praying to the business gods and then praying to my own God of like, man, I need to go find like some maintenance, like podcasts, like some maintenance info. You know what I mean? Like, how do I handle where I'm at today? I don't want to grow today. I need to learn how to build a new skill set today. I need to learn how to focus today. And I need to learn how to be. I need to learn how to just be where I'm at today, because today's season is not to grow. Today's season is to manage what I just did and to get skill sets in what I just did and to learn how to hang on to this and maybe flatline for a little bit and then go back up. But a lot of content right now is kind of on one scale or the other. And I'm, this morning I was like, man, I need to learn a new skill set and I need to go find new material to practice where I'm at today. I don't want to learn how to get somewhere tomorrow. And I don't, I'm not starting. So it's like there's, I'm even in that place right now of like, I need to learn how to figure out how to handle where I'm at today without letting the entrepreneurial part of me kick in and go, no, I want to be more tomorrow. I want to be bigger tomorrow. No, dude, don't stop trying to be bigger. Try to handle what you got today first, and then the bigger the momentum will come, But it's an interesting, every level has a new kind of stage of learning.
Dude, I got to tell you, brother, we haven't met or anything like that, but I just want to let you know, like, I appreciate you being so honest. Like, I don't think when people are on here, I want to acknowledge, like, that was very genuine in the way you were saying that. And I think that people really need to hear, even in your voice, you were just like, I don't know what to do. I don't. Yeah. And I think that like every level is that. And I think that what you're explaining though is also, it's okay to be there too.
Totally. Yeah. We constantly are like a big thing in learning as you, and I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Cause I'm trying to be that. And I'm very open about money, because I think in the in the podcast and the guru community and all that, I also think people miss, like, they take advice from stuff that it may not relate to where you're at today. And that's kind of what I was saying, is like, I'm taking advice from sections that are kind of above and below me, but that's good, because the stuff below me is how it helped me get there. The stuff above me gave me something to reach for. But then once you land in the middle, you learn, like, wait a minute, it's actually really hard to be in the middle. I have to figure this out. And one of the challenges I got and have had is like always trying to upgrade stuff. Like, and that's in your business, in your ideas, in your shoes, in your cars, in your house. It's like having to be like, listen, there's a skill set to just be. And when you're taking advice from people, if they're not, and you should take advice from every sector, but you have to build a skill set also of learning how to compartmentalize that info. This is advice that goes here. This is advice that goes there. This is advice I'm going to come back to. And this is advice that's actually helping me for where I'm at today. Because what this guy over here is talking about, he has, $1.5 million in the bank. He has 2 employees. He or she has, $800,000 a year in revenue. They pay this much taxes. So the advice this guy's giving to me, maybe that's exactly the avatar that I'm at, but maybe it's not. So it's like, listen, like, that may not be what you should be listening to. And a lot of times you don't even get those numbers, which I understand why people don't want to share their numbers. But it's like, without knowing numbers these days, it's kind of like well, how do I relate to the decisions you're making if we're not even in the same bracket? So I tell people a lot, like, listen, man, I can give you advice at where I was yesterday or like where I'm at today, but honestly, it may not apply to you. So I may not be it. Like, you don't take advice from everybody if it doesn't apply to what it is you're trying to figure out, because the decisions I'm making on hiring and building my business is because I have, $10+ million in this bank account and $4 million in that business and $8 million in the market and $3 million in savings. And I've got a wife and a kid on the way. Like,
and I was going to say, and admin to change things around, like, you have assets that they're trying to move at the same pace that you are without the assets that you have.
And it's like, listen, I'm making a decision on what car to buy based on all of that. You're trying to make a decision on what car to buy based on just like one piece. But we're getting so much content all the time that it's hard to kind of get that. So I kind of and that only sparks based on you saying like the honest, the genuine is like, I try to be the guy because I don't care about money. I'm in it for like the game. I like building things. I'm like a man's man in the business of like, I'm here to lay bricks. That's what I enjoy doing. I'm not trying to get to the destination. I just am weird and like laying bricks. It's it's the old school that we grew up in. I don't know. That's what I like doing. I would do it if I wasn't getting paid anyway. And it's just being honest about stuff where I guess I turned into the guy. And maybe that's like MLM, the network marketing, where people talked about money a lot to recruit people.
Oh, that might have been.
You know what I mean? That's maybe where it came from, where I like to be the guy that's really honest of like, listen, here's my numbers. Here's what I do. Here's what I paid in taxes. Here's how much my car payment is. Here's how much my mortgage is. Here's how much all this stuff is, so that you can go, oh, now I get what he's saying. Now like that didn't make any sense to me without context of where you're actually at.
Dude, it's so true. Yeah, that is so true, because what this society is doing a lot of is they're obviously looking at a picture and they're making a whole story about it. And at the end of the day, it's like, you didn't know they have an editor with them at all the times. But the thing that also comes down to like, also it's like you look at the when you found out that there was ghostwriters. And you're like,
oh gosh, yeah, seriously. It's so funny you say that, because I actually remember the day that I was with a mentor who has like 7 books, and he was like, I got a ghostwriter. I remember the day going, what is a ghostwriter? You didn't physically write all 7 of these books? Because I've been looking at you like
it messed with me, dude. It messed with me when I found out.
That's so funny you say that. So funny you say that.
Well, dude, Josh, I appreciate you, man. You've been an incredible guest. And where can people find you?
Probably Instagram's the easiest. I am Josh Delaney, just as it sounds. That's probably the fastest, easiest. Talking about old school, I'm on Facebook for the most part. Facebook's like my second cell phone. So just Josh Delaney on Facebook, and I am Josh Delaney on Instagram. But yeah, that's it.
Dude, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being a guest on the Moved Entrepreneur Evolved podcast. You crushed it, brother. Appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Congrats to you as well.
If you like this episode, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just like Nike is to athletes, Moved is to entrepreneurs.